Welcome back to Robot Khaos Season 6. After a brief 1-month hiatus, the season is back and you can stop bugging us about it. We've got a ton of new fights today, some new robots, first fight of the season. Interesting to see how they do, and let's get into the fight card.
Alright, so tonight we got devastating rookie horizontal spinner, Topbot going up against Enforcer, Red Zone versus Cyclone, Abomination versus Hijinx, Retrograde versus Killer Crab, Lolo Man and Ribbot, free shipping and Mad Catter, and for our main event, 2 horizontal spinners duking it out, Silverstar versus Blindside.
So of course, going into our first fight with Topbot in the red square. Topbot has only had 1 fight so far, but in that 1 fight against Cyclone, it showed a lot of power, and this will be a great first fight for him in his first season against a very, very respected opponent.
And of course, in the blue square, we have the grizzled veteran Enforcer, 13-9 in Robot Khaos. This robot has seen a lot of fights, a lot of great matchups. That hammer can do a lot of damage to that top armor or Topbot, so we'll have to see how this one plays out in the box.
Of course, Enforcer was the runner-up in Season 4, and they're definitely looking to get back to that stage and finally take the title for themselves. Let's see how they do in their first fight. And the bots are off. Topbot already getting up to a deadly spinning speed.
Enforcer already looking aggressive with that hammer.
It's going to be very important to see how well they can do damage with that hammer, because they have to look out for that spinner, because if that hammer spike gets stuck in that spinner, it could very well be ripped off. Now they're in the top corner exchanging a few hits.
Topbot looking very aggressive, not getting the best hits on Enforcer, but still able to do a little bit of damage to it.
Yeah, of course, Topbot hits much higher than most other spinners, so if it's going to hit something, it's likely going to hit that hammer, and it looks like it's a bit hung up on the shelf, but now getting freed. Oh, what a big hit there.
Big hit in the middle of the arena. Oh, Enforcer just getting mashed around, but that it's able to stay intact, able to keep being the aggressor in this fight.
Yeah, we've seen Enforcer be very strong against previous spinners in the past. Of course, they took down #1 seed Red Zone back in Season 4. Can they do it again here against another very powerful spinner?
Yeah, they're just bullying Topbot with that wedge, not able to really let them get a decent hit on them.
Oh,
there's
a nice hit. Enforcer just letting that hammer fly, no fear of it potentially getting snapped, but we'll have to see if that ends up biting them in the back later. There goes the hammerhead.
Wow.
Just like that, the main weapon of Enforcer now pretty much just reduced to a whacking stick.
Still looking aggressive with that stick, though.
Oh, but there's a nice shot, nice counterattack. See what they're doing?
Oh my god.
Off goes the entire axe hammer top, and it looks like that already might be it. Enforcer has just stopped moving, and it looks like that is going to be the fight. Topbot with the execution shot. Great start to the season. They're going to start 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, the story of the first half of the fight was just how aggressive Enforcer was, but it ended up coming out to bite them in the end. They were able to get some good shots with that wedge, even get that hammer into play, but Topbot's spinner just proved to be too brutal for them.
Yeah, of course, we saw that spinner in their fight against Cyclone, and it looked really effective, but of course, this is their first kind of fight against a main wedge bot, and it did very, very well. It took them a little while to get the bites that they needed, but eventually, without that hammer and without that whole top hammer mechanism, Enforcer was just done.
Yeah, there you see the hit that just killed Enforcer, that whole top hammer coming off, and it looks like it's stuck on its own hammerhead, so Topbot looking very good going into its next fight.
Yep, we'll have to see how Enforcer can recover from this. Not the way they wanted their season to start, but hopefully they have better fortune in their next match. So getting into our next fight in the red square, we have probably the most hated robot in the competition. Everyone knows why, I'm not going to say why. That is Red Zone, the powerful overhead bar spinner. Of course, they are 9-4 right now. In Season 4, they were the #1 seed, made it to the semifinals, but got eliminated by Enforcer, who got previously. Very, very tough first match for them against Cyclone, though.
Yeah, Cyclone in the blue square, 12-10 in Robot Khaos, but that spinner is just so deadly. It can knock you out in just a couple hits. It hasn't won a postseason match since Season 1, but it has won a lot of regular season matches. So we'll see how this one plays out in the box.
Yes, this is going to be a very, very evenly matched fight between both the robots. Of course, very experienced. They've fought quite a lot. I think it mostly comes down to who can get the better bite, and in that case, I think it might be Cyclone getting a bit better bite on that spinner, but we'll have to see what happens.
That wedge could be the X factor for Red Zone now. I mean, if they can get Cyclone off balance or even manage to push them over into the screws or on the shelf, we could see Cyclone get counted out, get stuck somewhere.
Yep, we have seen Cyclone get stuck multiple times before. We'll have to see if that happens to them again here, but let's just see what happens in the box.
And the bots are off. Red Zone already getting that spinner up to speed. Cyclone showing no fear towards that weapon.
Yep, we'll have to see which one of those weapons can last the longest. That could be a big factor of who can win this fight.
Oh, wow.
And already that spinner is gone. We have not seen that happen for a while from Red Zone, and they are already on the back foot early in this fight.
Yeah, Cyclone in a perfect situation to capitalize, but needs to be wary of that wedge.
Yeah, with that wedge, we have seen Cyclone struggle against wedges before. Of course, last season they got eliminated after being flipped by a wedge in Abomination. We'll have to see how they can do here against it, but so far this is pretty much how they would want this match to start.
Some big shots on Red Zone. Cyclone knocking it around the arena, and a big shot over by the pit.
Another very, very big shot there, and we'll have to see if either of them utilize that trap door. Of course, we've seen quite a few bots get eliminated in the last episode. We'll have to see how these bots use it here. Of course, those screws there, very dangerous as well. We could see Red Zone possibly using that because it has that wedge to help control the fight.
And look at this, Cyclone now stuck up on Red Zone. If Red Zone can capitalize on this might be good for them.
Oh, and they're trying to get them back to the screws, but doesn't look like they're going to be able to do it. Oh, now they're trying the other one in the left side of the box. Oh, not able to do it.
Separated.
But it looks like that spinner on Cyclone having a few issues spinning up.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like it's slowing down a little bit. Can Red Zone capitalize on this situation?
It looks like Red Zone might be trying to press the button to open the trap door, but nope, not able to. But now they're getting a few nice pushes in, trying to get them into the screws, but just not able to do it. Without that weapon, they really need to use the hazard to try to get some damage points.
Yeah, Cyclone's spinner not working, but they racked up so many points early. Red Zone has got to do something in order to get back on this scorecard.
Yeah, I think you could definitely argue in terms of damage, it's been Cyclone, but in terms of aggression and control, it could very well be up for debate. And look at that, we're getting a few more good shoves by Red Zone, but they're really just going to have to find something to do to help tip the scorecard even further in their favor.
Oh, and it looks like that weapon from Cyclone might be back to life. Can they get some more shots on Red Zone before this fight's over?
Yeah, we have to see how they do. Oh, there's another nice shot there. If Cyclone can last to the final bell, you could see them taking a judge's decision, but they also have to avoid that shelf. We've seen it cause a few problems for bots before.
I really love how aggressive Cyclone is being, just throwing themselves into Red Zone, not really caring what happens to them.
But now Red Zone has Cyclone near the wall, getting them near the screws, and now they're stuck up on the back of the arena wall.
Is Red Zone going to be able to claim the victory over Cyclone?
It looks like there's going to be enough time, and this might be the fight, and it looks like, yes.
That's going to be it.
That's going to be it. Red Zone, they were on the back foot, but they came back, and they're going to get the upset victory over Cyclone. What a fight that was.
That fight just started off all Cyclone. I mean, right off the first hit, look at that. That spinner just goes flying off of Red Zone. Cyclone just throws itself into Red Zone, knocking it against walls, spinning it around.
Doing whatever they needed to do. They got the hits that they needed to, trying to get some nice shots on those wheels, but the thing about Red Zone is we have seen that it is an extremely reliable bot, and once again it showed that it looked pretty much unfazed for its drive from that spinner, and it just kept pummeling and pummeling, and eventually it got what it needed.
Yeah, it was just it was an amazing shot by Red Zone to get him up there, a really good pin, but they definitely need to fix those weapon issues before their next fight, or they're going to be in for some trouble this season.
Yeah, it was a great first fight from really both bots, but in the end, Red Zone just had the slight upper hand and they were able to get it. We'll have to see how both these bots do in the next fight. A few questions still need to be answered.
All right, next up we got quite possibly the funniest robot in the competition, Abomination, with its big plow in the back and its great wedge in the front. It's going to go up against Hijinx in the blue square.
Yeah, so this is Hijinx. I believe it's their second season in Robot Khaos. Last season it went 1-2 in the regular season, but it managed to get to the postseason after winning a bonus rumble to get through, but it got eliminated by Ocean Man here. upgraded Hijinx in the arena this time around, but we'll have to see how they do because Abomination is not an easy first opponent, especially because they just made it to the semifinals.
Yeah, this is a great matchup for Abomination. Hijinx just has so much ground clearance, and Abomination is just great at capitalizing on scenarios like that. I think Hijinx needs to get in some good hits on that wedge and quite possibly knock it off, but I would give the advantage to Abomination in this fight.
I would have to agree with that. I think the best chance that Hijinx would have is it's able to remove one of those tracks, and then that would give it a bit more time to help spin up its spinner and land some good shots. That would probably be one of their best chances to win this fight, but we'll have to see because Abomination has been a very well controlled and driven bot. So it's going to be an uphill battle for Hijinx, but if they can manage to win, that would be a fantastic way to start their season.
And the robots are off. Abomination starting from quite an unusual spot in the square and just rushing over, pinning Hijinx against that wall.
I think definitely the strategy we're going to see from Abomination is to just keep that blade stopped, and already they're making very good use of the new shelf. The tread's able to easily go up on top of it and push Hijinx up there trying to get it stuck, and it looks like it might have been able to do it, but Hijinx pushed off, and it looks like they might be okay, but they're still getting battered into the wall.
Yeah, Abomination seems much faster this season. Seems like it can definitely get across the arena and actually stop Hijinx weapons, so Hijinx might have to rethink their game plan.
Yeah, of course, it takes a while to get that big blade up to speed, and with, of course, the great pushing power and speed of Abomination, they're in trouble, and just like that, they're getting pushed up nearly tipped on their head. They don't drive very well upside down, but just like that, there goes one of the treads.
Wow, Abomination was just out driving, but can Hijinx capitalize now?
We have seen bots with treads do very well even without them. I think bots like Reaper have been able to recover even when they've lost one, but we'll have to see how Abomination can adapt here, and it looks like they're not moving right now.
Yeah, Abomination seems to be stuck on that pit, but a little bit of sportsmanship from Hijinx frees him.
Yep, and now, of course, limited drive, but as long as Abomination is able to move outside of its circumference, then the fight is able to continue, and that's what we're seeing right now as they continue to try to bash them into the wall, but Hijinx now is definitely a bit more mobile, and they're able to just get away and get that spinner up to speed.
Yeah, this is a great scenario for Hijinx. This is exactly what they needed, but can they capitalize enough with that weapon in order to snag the win in this fight?
Yeah, we can definitely see them getting a bit of damage, but in terms of control and aggression, that might be a bit more difficult, especially because of the very strong pushing power that Abomination still has. So we'll have to see how well Hijinx can do at pushing, maybe use that back tail to help get underneath Abomination.
Yeah, Abomination, even with one tread, still just able to bully around Hijinx when it gets a good enough push.
And we'll have to see also if that blade of Hijinx potentially stops, because that's one of the best things about Abomination. It is a perfect spinner killer, and we'll have to see if it's able to use that wedge effectively, even though it's got limited maneuverability, and that's a nice shove across the arena.
Yeah, Hijinx is just getting snagged on that wedge, and then Abomination is just able to push him around, get him up on that shelf, maybe even into the screws, but they need to capitalize and use those arena hazards more if they want to win this fight with their limited mobility.
Yeah, but we are still seeing a lot of control coming from Abomination, but also that their aggression and damage is going to be more limited with their limited movement, of course. But and there was a nice shot on the treads by Hijinx, but that blade looks to have stopped. Abomination may have succeeded in stopping that blade.
Yeah, it seems like it's either seized up or it's snagging on the ground, but that spinner's done.
Yeah, and that could very well tip the judge's decision into Abomination's favor, and that is a very, very good end of the fight for Abomination. That is going to be it.
Yeah, the first minute of this fight was just all Abomination. Some great use of the arena hazards, of the shelf, and of the screws. They were able to box versus Hijinx, get him up. I was really impressed by their driving. I thought they were driving excellent, but once that tread was gone, the whole story changed.
Yeah, it definitely became a lot closer after that tread was gone, because we were able to see Hijinx get a little bit more time to get up to speed, but their shots, they didn't seem to be doing a whole lot of damage. They're definitely trying to knock that wedge off, but they weren't really able to do that or cause much noticeable damage, but they were able to deflect them away with some of those hits. It's going to be a very, very interesting judge's decision.
I liked how aggressive Abomination stayed. I think that might help them in this judge's decision. They kept throwing themselves into that weapon, and it paid off, and eventually it broke. So we'll have to see what the judges think.
And looking at the scorecard of a 9-6 decision win for Abomination, they will start the season off 1-0. Hijinx, not the start that they wanted, but they did show some promise in that first fight, and we'll have to see how they can recover from that in their next match and try to avoid going 0-2. And in our next fight, looking in the red square, we have a rookie bot for this season, Retrograde, and also a rookie for battle bots. Of course, the combination of the Undercutter and the Grappler, this is one of the few multi-weapon robots in Robot Khaos. Going to be very interesting to see how those two different weapons compare, and we'll have to see how they can do in this first fight against a very, very popular and veteran robot.
Yeah, of course we're talking about Killer Crab. Killer Crab in the blue square has those claws, and if they can get over to the sides of Retrograde, they can definitely push them around and use some of the new hazards this season. But I think the story of this fight is going to be how durable Retrograde is and how much damage it can really do with those two weapons. Are they going to be enough to flip Killer Crab? Are they going to be enough to do any form of damage to them? We'll just have to see what happens in the box.
Yeah, it's really a toss-up for how this match goes, especially because we have seen Killer Crab and we know that it has started off its seasons poorly, but it has always found a way to recover from that. And with Retrograde, we really just don't know anything about it yet. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these two robots do. Really no clue who could take this. It's going to be a very interesting first fight for Retrograde. We'll have to see how it does and if this can set the course for the rest of their season. But let's go down to the box and see what happens. And the fight has begun, both robots meeting in the center of the arena, jostling for position.
Already those forks of Retrograde seem to be very low, able to control around Killer Crab and even push them up on the shelf, but here's a nice push by Killer Crab.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Oh, but there goes one of the claws of Killer Crab. We're seeing that Undercutter getting into action. We've seen the Undercutter and the lifting forks doing a bit of damage. That's a great start of this fight for Retrograde. We'll have to see how Killer Crab can recover from that, though. That's definitely some early damage.
Bots kind of stalemating in the arena. Killer Crab trying to find the angle on them, and it looks like they got one, spinning up that flag.
Of course, that flag is for them to help self-right, but if it falls off early in the fight, which it normally does, then it is beach, and it cannot do anything once it's flipped upside down. There's a nice ram, and it's letting that flag fly again.
Yeah, I mean, Retrograde, definitely that hit on the claws of Killer Crab is going to score them some points. Can Killer Crab respond with enough aggression and control in this fight?
Yeah, and it looks like they tried to go for the trap door, wasn't able to do it, spinning that flag, and they got the flag caught in the lifter. Oh, and it's gone. Interesting tactics from Killer Crab, you know, just shed part of your robot off to jam Retrograde.
Yeah, but there we go. It looks like Retrograde might be stuck on that shelf.
Yep.
Let's see if looks like Killer Crab's going to try to get him down.
Yep, Killer Crab ramming them into the side of the box. It is good aggression. Freeing a stuck opponent is definitely going to help them if this goes to a decision. But we'll have to see how they can continue that in this match. And it looks like a bit of damage to one of the forks on Retrograde. Not sure exactly how that happened, but a bit of damage to note.
Yeah, like I said before this fight, those forks just need to be a little bit stronger. They need to be able to withstand some impacts, and even from a non-kinetic energy weapon like Killer Crab, you know, them bending like that is not a good sign.
But we have seen some very good control from that lifter. We haven't seen it really lifting, but we have seen it being very effective as a grappler. And it seems like that's definitely going to help them control Killer Crab around, but it seems to be kind of a back and forth match with Killer Crab getting a few nice pushes and then Retrograde responding with its spinner or getting a nice push with its grabber.
Killer Crab right there with a great show of control. Let's see if Retrograde has an answer.
But now Retrograde looks like it's stuck on the trap door. Let's see if they get pushed off, and nope, they get freed by Killer Crab once again.
Killer Crab some great aggression. That'll help them if this fight does end up going the distance.
And we see a bit more of pushing between these two. And once again, Retrograde doesn't seem like it's driving the best. It's definitely having a bit of issue near that trap door. Might be a bit low, and if they aren't careful, they could end up going down and being eliminated. And now Killer Crab over by there. He may have a bit of a love affair with the trap door.
Yeah, Killer Crab just still able to get some nice pushes, but Retrograde not really able to do a whole lot with that lifter.
And just like that, it looks like Killer Crab is stuck up on its flag. Of course it is, but both of them now, once again, meeting together. It's been pretty much the same story from start to finish. Both robots jostling for position, but now Killer Crab is stuck on its flag as the fight is going to end. So, recapping this pretty odd first match for Retrograde, they did show some promise, especially with that lifter able to grab it. Of course, they weren't able to get any successful lifts, but they did see a bit of damage also from that undercutter, so that weapon combination seemed to be doing a pretty good job for them.
Yeah, Killer Crab, definitely some good aggression and control, but who knows if it'll be enough in the eyes of the judges.
Of course, they really weren't able to do a whole lot of damage to Retrograde, but Retrograde was also able to get some nice shots with the screws. But of course, we have seen Killer Crab very, very good at controlling with those claws, but we'll have to see how this fight ends up going. And looking at the decision, ooh, pretty one-sided decision for Retrograde. Of course, they definitely dominated on damage, and they narrowly squeaked out control and aggression. And the rookie will start the season off 1-0. And this is common for Killer Crab. They always start the season 0-1. Nothing has changed. Getting into the fifth fight of the day, in the red square, we have rookie bot Lolo Man. If you know Robot Khaos, of course, it is one of his beetle weights. It is their first season in Robot Khaos, and as the name suggests, an extremely low robot fighting a very low spinner.
Yeah, of course, Ribbot in the blue square with that undercutter spinner. So it really is going to be the battle for low ground. If Ribbot can get in some good shots, I can see them doing some damage to that wedge, but that spinner is quite small, so who knows what will happen.
And of course, the simplicity in Lolo Man's design might also help them here, because there is very little for Robot to actually catch onto with Lolo Man. It's just a wedge and a brick, and that's pretty much it. So if Lolo Man is able to just get under Ribbot and get them on top and then be able to control them around the arena, I could definitely see them doing well in this match. But they are still a rookie, so you always have to learn from your first few fights.
Yeah, Lolo Man can definitely get in there, control around the arena, get into those arena traps. Maybe even stop Ribbot's spinner. They've had some reliability issues in the past, so we shall see how they're able to respond to that. Maybe they're better this season, but let's go down to the box and see how these two duke it out.
Yep.
Cool.
And here we are in this battle, and already we see the lowness of Lolo Man exerting its lowness onto the not low Ribbot.
Yeah, Ribbot just going right over Lolo Man like a speed bump. Can Lolo Man really push them into any obstacles, though?
I don't know. Ribbot is still confused why a piece of the floor is driving at it, and they continue on, and another ram by Lolo Man. We haven't really seen too much action from that spinner on Ribbot. Of course, that wedge has just been holding up very well to those attacks, but we'll have to see if eventually Ribbot can find a bite.
Lolo Man just trying to even make a connection with Ribbot. Ribbot just driving around it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting bot as Lolo Man. There's nothing really, you can just go right over it and just go on about your day. But it does seem that spinner on Ribbot is having a few issues. Seems like it's kind of dragging on the floor sometimes, taking a while to spin up. And that's working very well into Lolo Man's favor. Really just nothing Ribbot is able to do with it. It's just been pretty much a control fight from start to finish so far for Lolo Man, but we'll have to see if the pace changes later in the match.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Ribbot, have those issues with that spinner in the past too. So it might be time for some form of rebuild or, rethinking of that design, just scraping on the floor.
But of course, this is still only their first fight of the season, and they'll have some time to probably correct that spinner. And now, we're actually seeing Ribbot pushing out Lolo Man. Lolo Man was outlowed by Ribbot, but now Ribbot looks to be stuck over part of the pit. And is Lolo Man too low to hit the pit button? He might be. That is a shame. But
yeah, just incredibly low to the ground. It might be working against him in this fight.
For once, the lowness of Lolo Man has worked against it. But it looks like that spinner of Ribbot, nope, never mind, it's back. But now it looks like Lolo Man has loaded itself too much, and it is high-centered.
His Lolo Man looks like it's stuck on the wall from that hinged wedge.
Yeah, it looks like this fight could be over, and yes, it is. Ribbot is going to win. Lolo Man was not low enough. That's going to be the fight. Very odd fight.
What a disappointing end of the fight.
Well, Lolo Man came into this fight saying it was low, and it's very hard to argue against that. It was able to get under Ribbot for most of the fight. Only a few times did we actually see Ribbot be able to push back against them. But in the end, something just happened with that wedge, and it high-centered them.
Here's a fun game. Go rewatch that fight and take a shot every single time we say low.
Of course, we didn't really see a whole lot of action from Ribbot's spinner, which was unfortunate, but in the end, it didn't matter because Lolo Man decided it was time to Lolo die.
Yeah, Lolo Man knocking themselves out in this fight. A disappointing way to go out, but they looked good in this fight, so let's see how they can recover this season. Alright, in the red square, we have free shipping a Robot Khaos rookie. It doesn't have a flamethrower. Don't ask if it has a flamethrower. And then, of course, in the blue square, we have Mad Catter.
Of course, Mad Catter, this is their second season in Robot Khaos. In their previous season, they did not do very well. Their only win was against a very bad Electric Boogaloo. But if they want a chance to rebuild and...
What is Electric Boogaloo?
That is a great question. I don't know. But getting back to Mad Catter, of course, we don't really know how the season's going to go for them. They haven't changed a whole lot, but they do have a new wedge and a bit of an improved spinner. So hopefully they can come out swinging and do better than last season.
Yeah, in this fight, it's all going to come down to who has the lower wedge, and I think free shipping might have the advantage, but who knows? Mad Catter has seen some improvements, so...
But yeah, really, anything could happen in this fight. It's also going to be interesting to see how well that flipper on free shipping can do, because this is a new build. But if that flipper does prove to be effective, then that could be very good for them. But we'll also have to see how they do against Mad Catter, because we could see those forks potentially getting damaged by that spinner.
Yeah, that spinner didn't have a lot of power last season, but it could pack more of a punch this time. Let's see how it goes in the box.
And the next fight is started. Both robots once again converging at the center of the arena.
Yeah, none really able to get under from the start, but yeah, no, not a lot happening with those wedges.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that wedge of Mad Catter is definitely not really designed to tackle free shipping, and free shipping just not able to really scoop up Mad Catter. They might have tried to get around its sides.
Ooh, but a nice head-on ram
there.
there.
And there goes one of the forks of free shipping, Mad Catter, doing some damage for the first time in its existence.
Yeah, now Mad Catter getting some decent pushes, but not great. Here comes free shipping on the retaliation.
And there we go, a bit over back near the screws, but doesn't look like they're able to do that. And, oh, a misfire from free shipping, and now they don't have any more forks. It is converted back to Original Sin, but now doing just like Original Sin did and pushing them around.
Yeah, it looks like they got Mad Catter a little bit stuck up there, but Mad Catter able to drive down.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a battle of just positioning, but the issue is that I don't think either of these robots right now have the power to really outmatch the other, so it could definitely be a stalemate for a while unless one of them goes for the trap door.
It's the battle of the grandmas.
Yep, that's actually incredibly accurate. But it looks like, ooh, Mad Catter a bit stuck in pit. Oh, but there it goes down. Free shipping nearly driving in there, so I have to see if either of them can utilize it. Mad Catter.
Nice push on Mad Catter. Mad Catter gets down off that shelf.
And now they're going back, and another bump.
The battle of pushing.
The battle of pushing. And they go back up, a little chewed up by the screws. That's worth maybe all 5 damage points at this point in the match.
Yeah, it seems like both robots just unable to do anything, just kind of throwing themselves at the other, and nothing really is happening.
Yeah, but once again, there's a nice kind of half push by free shipping. It's getting there, but yeah, just neither able to do a whole lot. Now, another kind of half push by free shipping. I can definitely see this by going to the judges. Ooh, free shipping almost had them in the position to push them in, but Mad Catter evades it.
Both of these robots just pretty slow drive, just not the greatest in their field, but definitely have a lot of potential. So we should see how they adapt in the future.
Yeah, of course, we'll have to see who can take this here. But
but a nice push over by the pit.
Shipping, and Mad Catter goes. Mad Catter getting its first actual decent win in Robot Khaos. That is a solid start to the season. So yeah, this fight definitely not as action-packed as some of the other fights we have seen. It was definitely more of a battle of positioning for both of these bots, but Mad Catter seemed like they were able to win the battle early on, and they were able to make those forks of free shipping pretty much useless, and then it was just left as a ram bot, and every time free shipping was able to get under Mad Catter, they weren't able to do much with it.
Yeah, this was just not the greatest of fights. Both of these robots seem to have their own issues that they need to iron out before they can make a serious run in this tournament. We'll see how they come back. We'll see them in their next fight, maybe with some improvements, but I don't see either of these robots going too far with that performance.
But they definitely have room to improve, especially for Mad Catter. Another win could get them into the tournament. So, getting into our 2 highlighted fights for this episode, one of them was Reaper versus Stinger, but the footage for that fight was lost because it was so boring, but we'll just say what happened. It was a double knockout, which Reaper won. But getting into this fight, Hammer of God took on Ramplan, and Ramplan was able to pretty effectively control the fight using its little lifting arm on the side, and it was able to get under Hammer of God and control it around the arena a lot. It went the full 3 minutes, and it was a pretty decisive decision in the favor of Ramplan. Of course, it wasn't good enough to make the cut for this episode, but it was a very strong showing for the rookie bot in Ramplant. Not so much for Hammer of God, but both have a few issues that they have to iron out, but a lot of promise being shown by that rookie Ramplant. So getting into the main event for tonight's episode, in the red square we have Silverstar, one of the oldest robots on the channel, and also one of the robots with the most different iterations. Of course, this is a brand new version of Silverstar, completely new 3D printed chassis with some Chrono-style teeth, hoping this will be the version that can finally set them over the top and win them a championship, but Blindside is always a threatening opponent.
Yeah, of course, Blindside with that big blade, you never really know what to expect. They have struggled with keeping that robot upright, but if it does stay on the ground, it's a deadly opponent with some great hits. So we'll see if it can take down Silverstar tonight.
Yes, this is definitely going to be an interesting fight. I think it mostly comes down to whose weapon can last longer. And if Blindside gets flipped over from its own weapon power, then, I mean, that's kind of expected. But we'll have to see if that happens here because it's always a toss-up. I think in terms of who's going to be lower, I think Blindside might be able to get the lower bite on that teeth because Silverstar sits a little bit higher. But it's really, we just have no idea what's going to happen until the fight begins. Hopefully it'll be a very explosive main event match.
Yeah, it'll all come down to that first hit and who gets the better of that exchange. I think that'll set the tone of the fight.
Yep, let's go down to the box and see what the main event has in store. And getting into our main event fight, both robots spinning up near their squares.
Yeah, both robots a little timid to go in for a hit, but there goes Silverstar with a nice charge.
There we go, and they're connecting a few more times.
Still not that huge.
But there we go. The entire spinner of Silverstar has been ripped off. It is nothing but a box. Great start to this fight for Blindside. They just have to watch to not flip themselves.
Blindside knocked around that blade. Oh my god, there goes that spinner too.
So we are now left to basically the exact same robot fighting it out. Both of the weapons are gone. It's now going to come down to the driving ability of the two robots.
Battle of the boxes.
Yep, that's pretty much it. But now pushing the dead carcass of Silverstar spinner, but there it goes! Blindside pushes Silverstar into the pit, and that is going to be it.
Looks like Blindside's gonna start off the season 1-0, and that's always welcome. Especially in a main event fight like this.
Yep, great start to their season. Very explosive match between these two. The first few hits, definitely some big pops, but it was just that collision that Blindside had where it just sent that spinner of Silverstar flying, and at that point Silverstar really just wasn't able to recover. But definitely scared for Blindside when they did lose that blade.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it all came down to those first couple hits, and out of the first major hit, I mean, Blindside had that advantage a little bit longer, but it couldn't capitalize with the spinner and actually had to go to a driving match, and it ended up winning.
Yep, very, very good start to the season for Blindside. We'll have to see if they can retain that victory and push on in this next fight. So looking back at the fights tonight, very promising showings for bots like Topbot and also Red Zone overcoming adversity in order to win their fights, as well as Abomination overcoming losing one of those tracks to knock out Hijinx. And then also great start to the season for Retrograde as well as Mad Catter. A few issues some bots have to work out, but overall a great start. This fight sucked, we're not talking about this one. And also, of course, that main event, great start of the season for Blindside. Perhaps see how they can retain that in their next fight. But with that being said, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching.
You're still not cool, Penguin Boy.